Welcome to the Further North podcast, your weekly dose of the North Melbourne Footy Club. My name is Josh and this is a fan-run podcast doing match previews, reviews and everything North. Let's get it started.
Look at Archer come in and go bang! Right to Thompson. Gets the fist pumping and goes pops over that. We're heading to the finals.
Welcome back to the Further North podcast, everybody. Podcasting royalty, another one in the studio today. Admin number 2 from North Melbourne, closer to a flag. Welcome to the shindig here, the studio.
Thanks for having me, Josh, mate. It's a lovely studio you've got here.
Thank you very much. Pretty bare bones around here. I did have to tidy up before you came in. I probably should have vacuumed, but everything's okay.
Looks great, mate. Looks great.
Thank you. I've heard you've got a quick shout out to give to somebody out there in the community.
Yeah, usually people give shout outs to mum and dad and friends and stuff, but I just want to give a quick shout out to Kane Corns for his 119-point loss. It was great for him to really wind back the clock to that 07 granny. So
Do you reckon he got Vietnam-style flashbacks? Kane Corn played in what league did he play in? Do we know?
Oh, it was a country league somewhere. It was that Carlton draft thing, but
okay.
Yeah, I just think Kane's been pretty critical of a few North Melbourne performances lately, so I think we just give a quick shout out to his yesterday.
Yeah, and look, he knows he can give the criticism, but it's time to take the criticism. And clearly, he didn't have any effect. I'm sure trying to run off half back and not doing too much, to be honest.
No effect on the game at all, Kane.
No.
So lift.
No effect on the game and no effect on the media as well. Great job, Kane. Anyway. How are you feeling after the game yesterday? Without getting into too much detail, which we'll get into soon, just the general feeling after sleeping on that performance.
Look, sad and happy is the overwhelming feeling. So two conflicting emotions. I think waking up today though, it's more happiness than sadness.
I agree.
We're the first team in AFL history, I think, to lose because of admin. So that's something we can really hang our hat on. But no, I think every North fan will be thinking the same thing. It's overly positive, I think, yesterday's performance.
Yeah, I think so too. I think we chatted before, and is that the best performance we've put together for a couple of years, do you reckon? Even though it was a loss?
I think so, yeah. Like the Freo and the Freo game close.
They were grubby though, weren't they?
Yeah, it was a real scrappy game.
Yeah.
No, we were excellent. It was just nice to watch a game and enjoy it. Like it was a fun. Yeah, we played a fun style, and it was really nice to watch. Clearances,
winning it out of the middle, and just transitioning the ball forwards was good. And it makes me feel weird because I'm like, why does that happen now? And look, I know there's no explanation for that, but I don't know. When was the last time you saw us kick into targets in the forward 50?
Oh, it was the late 90s, I think, for sure.
It was the late 90s. Oh, my God. Dark times. Anyway, how do you feel about the interchange rule? And, it's one of those ones where at the time you want to blame the umpires. And, look, maybe we touched on the officiating a little bit because the free kicks were so lopsided, but it's on us, isn't it?
Look, we've got no one to blame but ourselves for that one. I know at the time everyone... we say robbed and all that stuff, but it's a black and white rule, right? They've counted to 75, we've gone to 76, and
exactly.
That's it. But of all the ways to lose a game, that's got to be the
most North Melbourne one ever.
Correct. Yeah. Correct.
That really does sum us up. But look, I think we have to focus on the positives for just the good performance, taking it up to a team. Yes, they're depleted with injuries, but, it doesn't matter what position a team's in at the moment. If we get up on a team like that and play like that against any team, doesn't matter if they're top or bottom, there's no complaints from me.
Yeah, absolutely. Couldn't agree more.
All right. So let's go to the team lineup. We'll wind it back to Thursday night, and we're going to go over the team lineup here. Let me just find it. All right. So we got Georgie Wardlaw. That was a very exciting one. A perfect timing after the Clarkson announcement through the week, just to make us feel a little bit better.
Yeah, it was really a perfect in, really.
Coleman Jones, who wanted him in though, not
Your
me.
man.
My man. Oh, yeah, he's my guy now, isn't he? Damn it. Tom Powell, Will Phillips, Eddie Ford, and Aaron Hall. Out goes your man, Jack Marnie, Curtis Taylor, LDU, Darcy Tucker, Flynn Perez, and Cam Zerha. So what did you think of the ins?
Oh, look, I don't think you could really argue with any of the ins, really.
Aaron Hall?
Aaron Hall's probably the one that you could.
But there's probably not many more.
I
we
think
don't have
we
a
were
Godo or
really
anything like that. Do
like we were depleted, right? I think
Yeah.
we would have only had 5 or 6 more players that could have come in. So
I'm trying to think of a guy off the top of my head that could have come in. Another one's Lockie Young, but he apparently was out with concussion for a week.
yeah. I think he's probably the only one because you had Cunnington, but that's not really a like for like swap.
No.
Um,
Cunnington off half-back, though,
oh, I'm sure he could.
Next
he could do
week.
anything.
next week. Yeah, all the other ins. Obviously, George Wardlaw, incredibly exciting. And boy, did he fit in well. But we'll touch on that later. Coleman, Jones, Powell, Phillips, Ford. Yeah, I didn't really have a problem either. I think we're so depleted at the moment anyway that there's, in any position, not too much leeway either side. I think I said on the preview podcast, maybe Will Phillips can stay in the VFL and keep getting his form up because as far as I know, he wasn't like tearing the VFL apart or anything
not
like
particularly,
that.
no.
And maybe wanted to see a Cunnington come back in. But hey, Will Phillips turned out to be right on the day.
Yeah, he did.
The outs, I mean, there's not too much to talk about because most of them are injuries. I guess the only ones to mention, Curtis Taylor. It doesn't say Aiden Core on the outs here, but Aiden Core was definitely out. Thank God. Aiden Core and Curtis Taylor. Give me your thoughts on those two.
Yeah, look, I don't mind Curtis Taylor. He had a few good games early on in the season, but we were down in Hobart last week and it wasn't his finest
game. That was
game.
an absolute shocker of a performance. I did say to someone throughout the week, and I don't know if I mean this, but maybe it's the emotion, but I said I think that's the worst performance from a player I've seen live. It was quite. I think what also didn't help his cause is he kept turning it over on the wing we were sitting on. So we had a front row seat to that. But I think he just looked like someone that was a bit low on confidence, I think. Yeah.
So
he's got the talent.
He does.
But it's time to start showing it. And if we do a future podcast or in this podcast go through the list a little bit, there's too many guys who should have been good a few years ago and haven't done it yet. And they're the players to rotate through. But and then Aiden Core.
Well, our backline looked really solid yesterday, I thought. So
now I don't want to toot my own horn, but I think it's, how many rounds are we in? 10? It's been 10 rounds.
Yeah.
I've been saying, let's not play Aiden Core anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Brett Ratton's a smart man.
He's a smart man.
He's not coming back in next week. Do you think he's in next week?
Well, if he is, I can't really see who he replaces from that team because it just seemed like our backline was like there was no need for.
Yeah, I think our backline's definitely the weakest part of our team in that game.
Yeah.
But you're right. I don't think it would have been better if Aiden Cole was there.
No, I don't think so. I think we just need to settle with this team for a little bit with a few minor changes with some young players switching around. Maybe
LDUs and Zerha's come back in.
Yeah, for sure. But
other than that, I think it's 50-50 for most other guys.
Yeah.
Well, you've got to earn your spot anyway. Those two walk into the team every week, as they should. But
yep.
Yeah. What do you think did you see Kane Corns talk about Aiden Core and his contract and him being a bust of a deal?
Yeah.
What were your thoughts on that?
I don't think he's too far off Kane, to be honest.
I don't disagree.
You've got to admit when someone's right. I didn't realise he was on that much money. It does give Polek vibes.
It does. At least he's playing.
Yeah, and
but I think that's worse.
Yeah, possibly. Yeah, and he is nearly 30 too. I think he's late 20s, so I thought he was a lot younger as well.
I think. Yeah.
So look, you got to admit when someone's right, and I think Kane might be onto something there actually.
Yes, so it's very rare Kane Corns gets anything right, but we'll give him half a point for that one.
A broken clock is right twice a day, so I guess we can use that expression.
Very, very true. He did put Griffin Logue in that, and I just thought, that's just such a nut punch. Like,
incredibly harsh.
You don't need to. Griffin Logue's been fine, if not good, this year. Like, I think Griffin Logue has been so important to what we do. And maybe sometimes he loses his head a little bit in the last few weeks, but his first month, 5-6 weeks was, I thought, really good.
Yeah, look, he's been good. And how many games he played for us? 9?
Yeah.
I don't think you can judge a 4-year contract 9 games into it.
No. And did it say 500,000? Like, Core was 700 and
yeah,
was
is that just a guess or does he know that?
I'm not sure. I assume Kane Corns does no research whatsoever,
no,
so I assume it's a guess. But if it is about 500,000,
that seems fair
for a key position player who's 24, athletic, and wants to be there. I have zero issues with that. I'm trying to find a negative in that.
No, yeah, you're right. It seems fine. It's not a big deal at all, really.
Anyway, so they're the ins and outs. We're going to go to positives and negatives from the game now. I did learn. We're going to start with positives because the first week I did this podcast, I started with negatives, then we went to positives, and I felt gross. So we're going to fix that up. And I've done these in chronological order while I was writing, while I was watching the game. I was writing these down as we go. So my first positive I've got here, we handled the Swans' early dominance. So the first, I think Ratton said as well, the first 12 minutes, the Swans were all over us. Yeah. Absolutely all over us. And it looked like it was going to be another week of just absolute hell.
Yeah.
And I think we didn't let them capitalize on their opportunities when they got them. And to shift the momentum is something we rarely do. So it was good to see a young group without experience like Zerha and LDU and that shift the momentum, and we were in it at quarter time.
Yeah, it really had like David Noble style 40-0 first quarter. So yeah, that was actually the first thing I noticed.
I'm getting Vietnam flashbacks like Kane Corns on the weekend.
Yeah, that was the first thing I noticed too. Like I think there were 2 goals 5 before we scored, and I was a bit like, this could get ugly. But
it still says 0 in all the columns. It was concerning. Yeah,
but yeah, you're right. Like to not get blown away from that start is it's a big tick.
Yeah, because last week I guess we got to quarter time and looked in it last week, didn't we? But it just blows out so quickly. So to not let that happen at all was very good. My next point was, and this was in the first quarter, Wardlaw looks clean, and clean is in capital letters there. I hoped he would continue that throughout the game, and I think he did. He was fantastic. But like I sort of mentioned on the podcast yesterday and we talked about before, there's certain players that have got it and there's some that don't. And you just know when a first gamer is around the ball that confidently, he's got what it takes.
Yeah, like I think, we were talking before, he was going against Luke Parker, which one of my favourite players actually for the last 10 years, and he was keeping up with him. He didn't look out of place against Luke Parker.
Didn't look small, didn't look skinny.
No,
either. Yeah.
He wasn't getting bowled over. Was like you said, was clean. So he has got it. Him and Sheasel have both got it.
They do, don't they? I thought the inside 50 entries were much better on our end this game,
definitely.
And especially maybe second and third quarter. It's definitely second when we sort of started to outplay them. We were killing the clearances, and I guess a shout out, and we'll mention him a little bit later, but a shout out to Will Phillips in the middle for coming back in and doing what he did. We'll talk about him specifically after, but yeah, being able to win the ball and not just send that thing as long as humanly possible is so nice to watch.
It's a beauty to watch. And that's one of those things, like if we turn it over while we're trying stuff like that, I can live with that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was really nice to see some lowering of the eyes, which... we haven't seen for quite a while.
And you just say before, which I didn't realise until you said it, there was a spread of goal kickers.
Yeah, I think our max goal kicker was 2. Look, Larkey could have had more, actually, to be honest.
He could have. Stupid Nick Larkey. I need it. It's too tight. The bet's too tight right now. Larky's ahead by 1 goal in my bet with my co-worker, and Oscar Allen's got to play today, and he just kicks 2 every week.
He does.
So wouldn't mind him rolling an ankle or something. No, Larky, it's weird seeing him. Did he put one out in the full in the first quarter?
Yeah, he did. Look, he's probably one of the best, if not the best.
They said he was going 80%.
Yeah.
So look, and that does one miss doesn't mean he's gone.
No,
he's not Lindsay Thomas Yips sort of stage.
And yeah, I guess the good thing was he went back, I think, with his next shot and drew it from 50. So he put it behind him pretty quickly. But yeah, like I guess Max, I think 2 goals was our leading scorer. So Coleman Jones a few, Larky a few, Simpkin a few.
Was really good.
Yeah, I think that was his best game for us this year, or one of the best.
Yeah, and that was another point I've got here, which was for me a real captain's performance and a response by Simpkin as well.
Yeah.
I think he faded a bit later in the game. Not bad by any means, but he was our best player in the first half, I think. And he was great out of the middle. He was clean with the ball. He wasn't blazing away. He kicked a couple of goals in the first half. I don't know. I just felt like that's leadership.
Yeah, because I think you mentioned this in your podcast yesterday as well. He was up and about in that first quarter when we were sort of getting a lot of pressure.
He was the main
at us.
reason I think we held on, and he rallied. Felt like his performance sort of rallied everybody.
Yeah, like 2 goals, 28 touches. That's a seriously good game. So
it is.
Well done, Jai.
Well done, Jai. The other point here is the youngsters are doing it. The youngsters did it yesterday. It wasn't oh, our best was Zeeble, Goldie, and maybe a Sheasel. You know, it was Wardlaw and Sheasel and Phillips and Coleman Jones and all these guys.
Yeah.
You know, even a Paul Curtis and guys like that. Bailey Scott, shout out to Bailey Scott. It's just the young guys did it.
Yeah, that's what you love to see, right? Because there's nothing. What we've seen the last few weeks is we've lost by 70 points and Goldstein, Zeeble have been our best players, which is not what you want to see. But yeah, like you just said yesterday, I think all our best players were young players, which is like Eddie Ford as well.
Ford as well, absolutely.
All the young guns, which is exactly what we want to be seeing at this stage of the season.
Our tackles and our pressure. Now, I haven't seen us tackle and pressure like that. Maybe since the Freo game. Because our pressure was relentless then. But I don't know. I feel like that was our best pressure game for maybe even a couple of years as well.
I haven't seen it in a long time. Yeah, I don't know if it's the Wardlaw. Could it be the Wardlaw impact of him attacking the footy and everyone sort of lifting because of that? Because I've not seen that in a long time. Yeah, probably since the Freo game, but I think it was even better than the Freo game.
I agree. Because that was sort of just scrappy, but this one was sort of like a high pressure and clean disposal game.
Yeah, like they didn't really easily get it out of their back line often. Like there was a lot of stoppages in our forward line, which I don't remember seeing for a long time.
Yes. Yeah, holding it in the forward line. Yeah.
Crazy.
I forgot that you're allowed to do that in AFL. That was a brilliant. So it was all around the ground too. Like I thought Paul Curtis, his pressure in the forward line was unreal.
Yeah.
He laid plenty of tackles. Wardlaw on debut, most tackles in the game with 9.
Excellent.
Oh man, I love George Wardlaw.
And he's only played one game. It already feels like he's been around forever.
Have you ever fallen in love on a first date? Because that's the vibes
exactly
I'm giving
the
off right
vibes.
now. I'm getting clingy.
Just don't message him straight away. Leave it for a few days at least.
I messaged him straight after. Which is fine, guys. Which is fine. Everything's fine. Clearances was another one. We killed them at clearances, even just around the ground.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think the clearance stats suggest we dominated, but what I mean by that is when they got a clearance, I didn't find them running away with the ball as cleanly. No. When we got a clearance, we could move it. And the thing I've harped on about all year is we run out of players when we need them. So if we string a handball chain together under pressure, we always run out of players and we'll get tackled and turn the ball over. But it didn't happen yesterday.
No, I think what I noticed, at least for a few times, was Phillips' hands in the centre bounces.
Yes.
A lot of the times we win a hit out and we get the ball and we pump it as long as we can. Yesterday, I think a few times Phillips would get the ball and handball to someone on the outside who would be running inside 50 and use it well. So yeah, shout out to Will Phillips.
What do you think, like with tackles, with pressure, with clearances, or like, you know, cleaner disposal out of a clearance? Why did that happen yesterday and not for the last 7 weeks?
That is an unbelievable question. I'm not entirely sure. Look, it could be due to the fact the Wardlaw effect sort of coming in, and they've seen an 18-year-old first gamer and go, "Oh, this guy's stepped up here. Maybe I should lift as well." The other thing it could also be too is maybe with LDU being out, they've sort of gone,
someone's got
like
to step
Phillips
up.
And Powell and Ford and all those guys
who have been in the VFL who know that this is their chance.
Yeah, they've sort of gone, well, LDU's not here now, so maybe it's my time to sort of step up, and maybe that, I don't know. That's my thoughts.
I agree. I think, you know, all the talk and all the headlines will be, the galvanised is the word everyone likes to use when North's facing adversity with Clarkson and Brent Ratton, new coach bounce, and that stuff's nice for a headline. And the new coach bounce thing weirdly is real, even though it physically isn't, right? But I don't know. I don't think people will play better just because of the Clarkson situation.
No.
You can do this every week. You don't need to be motivated. You shouldn't. Your paycheck should motivate you, but also getting to play AFL footy should motivate you. So, you know, every headline you see will be, and every sort of interview the players will do will be like, we were really galvanised this week. We want to do it for Clarko, you know. Ratton came in and he really brought the group together and blah, blah, blah. I think that's nice to say and the politically correct answer, but I think you're right. I think a young guy like Wardlaw coming in and having an impact from the first bounce.
Yeah.
Imagine how many players who have been passengers looking at that go, This kid's 18 and look what he's doing around the footy.
Yeah.
I'm on the field with him.
Mm.
I got to step up.
Yeah, I think that was the catalyst, really. Yeah. The first game with the new coach thing, don't know if there's some psychological thing there, but I think you're right. I think it's definitely the Wardlaw impact, LDU being out, a few players that have in and out of the team going, hey, this is probably my last, or not my last chance, but this is a big chance for me to show what I'm made of.
Was there a better balance around the midfield, do you think? Obviously, you put Sheasel forward as well. But I'm just trying to look at the ins and outs here, and LDU and I guess Darcy Tucker. I'm just trying to think why it worked so well, why it was so clean. I thought Jai was fantastic and Will Phillips was fantastic in there. Jai, Wardlaw, and Phillips as a midfield three going forward.
And then Greenwood coming in too. We love Greenwood. Admid one's favourite.
Absolutely.
And then also I noticed we had Scott and Ford on the wings for most of the game, and both of them were, like their ball use, both of them was excellent, which we don't really see much, right? We usually see the ball get on our wings and that's it. See you later, turned over. So
goes back over.
That was another good part as well.
And my last positive point here was look what we can do when we are confident. Like every player looked like they knew they were winning the ball.
Yeah.
And every player looked like they knew that they were going to be able to dispose cleanly of the ball.
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy the turnaround from last week to this week.
Yeah, polar opposite performance. Really.
Polar opposite performance. And if they can go in with that confidence, I don't know. Look at what we could do. Like, I know it was against a depleted Swans team, but if we play like that against any team, I think we'll do pretty well.
Yeah, look, that's all we want to see, right? If we lose by 5 or 6 goals to, the Melbournes, the Collingwoods, no harm, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, it's these games. It's just that performance, really. Like results wise, it will come if we keep playing like this. But it's crazy what a little bit of confidence does, and we were seeing targets being hit. Let's just hope that we can back it up the next few weeks.
Is it Collingwood next week?
It is Collingwood next week, and we played probably our best game against them last season, weirdly enough.
True.
So
it's true. We're in their heads.
Yeah, they know we're coming.
They know we're coming. Yeah, I'm just thinking there's a difference. And look, not to point out individual players, but we're here to be honest as well. Last week when we were there, instead of the ball dropping to a Marnie or to a Perez, someone who we think's going to butcher it, even what Curtis Taylor did last week. Think about all the spot instances around the ground where they were around the ball. Now you've got Ford and Wardlaw, and we'll talk about Coleman Jones in a second, but like guys like that having impact who are just better. And I feel like we've all known that they're better, but why haven't they been in earlier? Yeah.
Look, you're spot on. Ford, Wardlaw coming in for those guys last week. I don't recall them turning the ball over one. I can't remember. They probably did, but I can't remember an occasion off the top of my head.
I could recall every one of Daniel Howe's turnovers this year. Like the one he ran over the top of the ball against the Fremantle to get them back within a few points.
Keeps me up at night.
Yeah, I'm not over it. We're just going to point out a few of my favourite players here, and then I think you've got some positives and things as well.
Yeah.
But we'll chat about these players individually. First one, Eddie Ford. He just, once again, like Wardlaw to me, just looked like he fit.
Yeah.
And he just did what he had to do. He was clean. He kicked 2 goals one?
So he kicked a goal and had 21 disposals.
Did he have 21 disposals?
He did. Yeah. So big performance. I wasn't expecting a performance that good, to be honest.
No, but it's looking comfortable around the ball, and we just did.
Yeah.
And so did he.
Yeah. I don't recall a maybe there was one turnover, I think, in the first quarter.
Yeah,
but
maybe.
21 disposals, look, you're allowed to have.
Yeah.
You're allowed to have 2 or 3 turnovers.
And it depends how you turn the ball over.
Yeah, that's
the
other thing. Yeah.
The other thing I've noticed us do a little bit in the last few weeks is Aaron Hall did this yesterday, and Jaden Stevenson does this every now and then, where they get the ball and they think they're clear, and they try to run and break the game open, but there's more players around them, and are they not getting communicated to, or are they just a little bit absent-minded as to where the opposition players are?
Yeah.
And they're getting run down a lot. But, making those little mistakes that lead to turnovers, the bunch of new players we had in this week didn't do that.
No, correct. Which is really exciting.
Paul Curtis, what do you think of him?
Oh, I love
Goal
that.
of the year?
I love that. Oh, look. Second, I reckon Ashcroft's strangely is the best goal I've seen this year. But Jeez, Paul Curtis would have won it every other year just about. I reckon.
He was on the ground when he picked up that ball. He was on his back.
Double fend off.
Double fend off.
It's definitely coming top 3. I think if enough North fans can infiltrate the voting system, we can maybe get him
if
over
anyone's
the line.
into cybersecurity or knows code, please message the podcast and we'll see if we can get you to crack into the Pentagon at AFL HQ or something like that.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. We've got nothing else to hope for this season, so we may
let's
as well
win
do this. But Paul Curtis's pressure was 10 out of 10. That's what we've wanted to see from him. I'm surprised he didn't go into the midfield a bit more like he did against Port, but I guess we didn't need him to because we were doing well.
Nah, he's such a good target up forward too. Like he's a pretty strong mark, good along the ground, good at tackling.
Yeah.
Look, he'll have a few 3 or 4 goal games.
Yeah, he did had another snap from a very non-tight angle and missed it again.
It was better than last week's.
At least we got 1 point.
Yeah,
for this one, which was nice.
Baby steps.
But, I think Sheasel kicking that drop punt as well near the end of the game and hitting the inside of the post.
Yeah, that's just unlucky, isn't it?
I love that he went for a drop. That's old school.
Yeah.
That's old school by Shees. Paul Curtis, that's enough flashy stuff, mate. Just kick a drop punt, sir.
Keep it simple.
You're a left footer. Widen the do buddy style. Run out a little bit and hook that thing back in. Anyway, whatever. It's fine. You played well, Paul Curtis. That's not a criticism.
Paul.
CCJ. Should I just talk about him because he's my guy, or do you want to talk about him?
He is your guy. I'll just quickly shout out to him. Look, that was exactly the player we need in the team.
100%.
Like, how many times yesterday did we kick it onto the wing and he would either mark it, bring it to ground, and then if he did mark it, he wasn't kicking it long to, a small play. He was kicking it to Goldstein. He was kicking it to Larky.
There was a couple of bad turnovers in the first quarter. He kicked one back short and it got turned over. But
that's not his game, right?
That's not his game. But at least he's trying to hit somebody or spread it to someone who's going to make a bigger impact.
Yeah, look, we can, in my mind, we can live with, if we're trying to do something positive and we turn it over, I can live with that to an extent. It's the bombing to no one that
100%.
That drives me crazy. So, that was a really good performance from CCJ.
I'm going to have a little bit of time with me and CCJ for a second, if that's okay. Take a step out.
He's your man. I'll go get a drink.
Don't talk about my man like that, all right? I love CCJ. He's a throwback player for me of exactly what I want to see in a big, tall, key position player. We lack so much key position depth, and what he sort of showed at Richmond, I wanted him to bring over to North. What another a little side note, people criticise North's recruiting and things a lot, but getting rid of Horne-Francis for what Wardlaw and Sheasel look like, plus their pick this year, and getting rid of Robbie Tarrant for like a CCJ and a Paul Curtis, what I think they can sort of turn into, I think they should be credited for those trades and deals as well, because Robbie Tarrant's barely played for Richmond.
Yeah, and the other thing is we could have been stubborn and kept Horne-Francis this year, and he would have walked at the end of the season for nothing. So
exactly.
Credit to Brady. Yeah, he's done a great job with getting us Sheasel and Wardlaw.
I love a big marking forward. I love it. And Larky isn't that. I love Nick Larky. But if we can stick Coleman Jones in that forward line and just get him to take clunks and kick a few a week, that's my favourite player.
Yeah, 2 goals, 15 touches. If he does that every week, that's exactly
all you
what
need to
we
do.
Right?
Take some marks on the wing so it's not just Goldie every single week, and then be able to push forward, like go pinch hitting the ruck a little bit to give Goldie a spell.
Yeah,
I'm worried for our ruck stock next year. Like I think I said last time, I need to see it from Jerry first. Like he's got potential apparently, and that's really good. And he's had 2 good preseasons in a row, and that's great. But he hasn't played. Yeah,
it would have been. It was really unfortunate for him to get injured so early. It would have been good to see him have 3 or 4 games.
I agree.
Yeah, so
I agree. But
it's a wait and see. But you're right. It's a 50-50 one.
Recruiting a ruck or something like that in the off season, even just go and get a second ruckman off a good team, to be our guy while Ajeri comes on, I think would be a really good idea. Just a solid option. Not a guy who can be the best ruck in the league, 'cause you're not going to get that without paying for it, but something solid. But I like Coleman Jones in that second ruckman, key forward with Larky. And, Charlie Comben is injured at the moment. And I did say on the podcast yesterday, if Comben is fit, I don't want Coleman Jones going out of that team and bringing Charlie Comben in.
No.
And can Comben, because I think Coleman Jones looks like a much better marking forward and a kick at goal compared to Comben, who his thing is his athleticism and his pressure on the ball was unreal.
Yeah.
But playing that Mason Wood role on the wing where he can push back, create a contest, push forward, maybe kick a couple. I don't know. Did we play Jared Waite on the wing a little bit when he played for us, or am I just imagining that?
I think he did. Oh, God, I love Jared
Because you
Waite
remember
too.
Matthew Richardson did that
Yeah.
like late in his career?
I think even Rory Lobb is doing it now with Bulldogs. Not
Is he
that
really?
that's someone we should base our game around. But yeah, it's going to be a tricky one, isn't it? Because I love Comben, and I
love
reckon
Comben.
he was on the precipice of kicking
Yeah,
4
I know,
or 5
I
goal
agree.
game too before he got injured. So it'd be interesting to see how we go.
Because I don't want to play with 3 talls, just like I don't want to play with 3 in the forward line as I do in the back line.
Yeah, they'll just
right?
get in each other's way,
So,
right?
exactly. It looked so much more balanced with Aiden Core out of this team. And as Aiden Core coming in to like cover someone if there's an injury, it's fine. Okay, not for the money he's getting, but it's fine.
Yep.
And not that I want Charlie Comben to be that guy who comes in if there's an injury, because he's got potential to be a really good player. But I don't want to see Comben, Larkey, and CCJ in that forward line, but I want all of them to play.
Yeah, so someone's got to find
Someone's got to find another role. And I think Comben, with his athleticism, I think he's a good decision maker and he attacks the footy relentlessly. Get on that wing. I don't know. You heard it here first on the
I'll tell you what, you're going to be real smug if he lines up on the wing next to.
Oh,
when
you
he
think
comes
I'm
back
going
in.
off about Coleman Jones? Unbelievable. You won't hear the end of this. You'll never come on the podcast again, which is fair. Let's talk about Wardlaw. Let's just do some Wardlaw love.
Ah, that was just so exciting. And this is the first thing I thought of when I saw him playing. I don't know if it's because he was lining up against him, but he looked like Luke Parker. He attacked the ball, was clean.
Yep.
Look, he had a shot at goal, which maybe in a few games after a bit of
First
nerves,
game
he kicks
nerves.
that.
Yeah.
That
If he was kicking that on the run, that goes through the middle.
Correct, it's correct.
Because you
And-
don't have time to think about it.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
The other one was on the boundary, setting up Goldstein. Like,
Oh, yes.
we don't have any players or many players in our team that can have the composure to keep it in and hit a target in the same. And it led to a goal too. So
Yeah.
first game, 18 years old.
He's got it. That's
It's
what
crazy.
I'm saying right now.
It's crazy. I was doing VCE exams when I was 18. And this guy's ripping it up ripping it up at Marvel Stadium.
Yeah, unbelievable. The home of football, Marvel Stadium.
Yeah.
Cop that, MCC members. Yeah, he just looked fantastic, and it sucks that we lost the game how we did, because otherwise everyone would be talking about Wardlaw. And I think I said his stats don't jump off the page, maybe just touches wise, but it's what he did with. It felt like he had double the amount of disposals it said.
It did,
just
yeah.
because how impactful every time he was around the ball, something happened that was positive for North.
Yeah, spot on. And like, you'd rather see a 16, I think he had 16, 17 disposals,
Yeah, it was,
9
yeah.
tackles.
Yeah.
His efficiency would have been really high too, rather than he gets 30 because he's chipped it around the back line
Yeah.
heaps. So he was seriously exciting and can't wait to see what he does for the rest of the year.
There's that flaw of like, he's not fumbling over the ball and tripping over and going and like letting someone run away with it. Like, he'll at least keep it in front of him
Yep.
and bring it to ground and form a contest.
Yep.
Unlike some other players.
It's exactly the player we need long term.
Harry Sheasel in the forward line. What'd you think?
Exciting.
Very exciting, wasn't
I've
it?
been looking forward to this for a long time, and I understand why we played him defence
Yeah, I
at the
do
start
too.
of the year. It's just to you
I
don't
feel
want
like
to
that's
throw
made him so comfortable though.
Correct.
Yeah.
I said this. I said this a while back, that if you bring Sheasel in as a pick 2 and you chuck him forward in a team that's not great, and he has a few down weeks, his confidence will just
Not getting the
deplete.
footy. Yeah.
But instead, we threw him back, gave him the ball.
Mm.
Like in that Freo game, he basically won us the game really
Yeah.
in his second game,
Yeah.
and now we can throw him forward. And what did he have? Two goals, and could have kicked 4. He could have kicked 4. Which is
kicked
crazy to think.
Yeah,
But
that one off the post, man. I
hurts.
was up off my chair as well.
yeah, the commentators really sold us there because they were.
And you can tell, like, the amount of people that come in, like the amount of kids that come into the barbershop on the weekends and talk about Harry Sheasel. You know that players are the things that get people talking, not the clubs, right?
Yep.
So people talk about Richmond because of Dustin Martin. And this guy seems like someone who's already so popular with the kids and everything. He's going to be like I'm not saying a generational player on the field, which I'm sure he can be, but just he seems to be a player that people are gravitating towards too.
Yeah, he almost gives like NBA, like franchise player vibes. Like
Yes,
when you
yeah.
get that player that
The Wembanyama of the AFL, you reckon?
just a little bit
What a
smaller.
hot take.
A little bit. That's the
Just a little bit
first.
smaller.
That's the first comparison between those two ever, surely.
Won't be the last. Won't be the last.
But yeah, that he looks like that type of player that we can just base our team around. And yeah,
Once again, so clean with the ball though, and this is the other thing where, your Marnies and your Taylors and that sort of stuff maybe haven't hit the heights of where they should have by now when drafted. When these guys come in and under 10 games, or 1 for Wardlaw and 10 for Sheasel, they just look so clean with the ball. How do we not have more players who can do that?
Yeah, it's exciting. The bit that's exciting about that is you just touched on then 10 games he's only played. It genuinely he's playing. Like, imagine how good he's going to be when he's played 100. Like,
it's wild.
It's stick him in that half forward line.
Yeah.
Midfield. It's very exciting.
We've got a lot of players now that can go wing and half forward, don't we?
Yeah, we've got a lot of versatility there now because forward I thought was a forward pocket, but he played on the wing yesterday.
Yeah, Curtis Taylor does that too.
Yeah.
Like, if he can be good enough, which we hope he is, of course. Jack Zeeble, I thought he was just the most classic 2023 Jack Zeeble game you'll ever see, just commanding the defence.
This could be his best season since like those 2014, 15, 16 years. This is the best season he's had in a long time, and he's been excellent for us.
He has. He marks everything.
Yeah, he doesn't turn the ball. Hot take, but I think he's leading our best and fairest at this stage of the season.
Yeah, no, I think you might be right. Him or Sheasel.
Yeah.
It has to be him or Sheasel. I think I might have talked to Marnie about it last week on the podcast, but it's going to be either at this stage Sheasel or Jack Zeeble winning our best and fairest, and they're both on completely other ends of the spectrum age-wise.
Yeah.
And I would love for and look, I think LDU might have been leading it if he was healthy, but you want your LDUs, your Zerhas, your Larkies to be leading this thing.
Yeah.
But hey, like we said with Wardlaw coming in, if the young guys are doing it and you've played in the league 6 more years, you should feel embarrassed by that, and it's time to step up. But then you'll be able to see who's got it and who doesn't.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes the next few weeks when Sheasel and Wardlaw and Ford and all those guys, if they keep lifting, I think it'll lift everyone else as well.
Will Phillips, you've got some good thoughts on this game from Will Phillips, so hit me.
That was his best game, I think, in ever actually.
I'd say it's his best game I've seen.
Yeah, and the one thing I noticed for sure is a lot of the times from our midfield, except when LDU bursts out of the pack, other than that, we generally get the ball from a hit out and we boot it, and that's it. But I noticed yesterday, I think Phillips he only had 2 or 3 kicks, but he had mostly handballs. But every time he would handball to someone in space,
past,
and he was hard at it. So if he keeps that up, that's exactly what we want to see.
I think Will Phillips should strap his head up Joel Selwood style just every game.
Yeah, maybe that's what it was.
Yeah,
the warrior headband.
It's like the Kyrie or LeBron face mask,
We
Hoodie Mello.
We love an NBA shout out to that.
Yeah, there you go. Who there? Hoodie Mello was another one as well. Headband Phillips.
Yeah, headband Phillips.
The headband thrill.
Get that trending.
We'll yeah, get that trending. Yeah, that eyebrow is going to start bleeding every single game now, and that's what I want to see from him. And the last one was Bailey Scott.
That was, look, I know you love Bailey Scott. I love Bailey Scott too. He plays that wing role perfectly.
I thought he was really good last week.
He was really good last. Look, to be honest, I don't think he's really played. He's had a few quiet games.
Because people got very critical of him over the last month, and I've said every time on this podcast that the criticism for, Bailey Scott and Paul Curtis was another one. Maybe I like them and more than I maybe should, and don't criticize them enough. But I don't think they've ever had games so poor it's drop worthy. Maybe with the talent that I think they have shown. No,
I completely agree. Bailey Scott, I think he was probably best on ground yesterday, or if not second best on ground.
Very close to.
Look, he just stays in the team, right? He's come third in our best and fairest last year. He 33 touches, a good goal as well. I don't remember him ever turning the ball over. No. And he could just run all day.
Doesn't he?
Even the last quarter, he was still running up and down. So, he was probably top 2, definitely. Yeah, for sure. Arguably best player on ground. Well, that's another one that we'll get to after we'll do the negatives in a second as well. We'll skip over those. We don't want to bring the mood down too much. But there's 5 players who need votes for the Sean Attlee Club Champ this week. Ooh. And I need you to help me pick who's who. It's going to be tough. Yeah. Some negatives then. I think poor turnovers leaving the back line in the first quarter especially. After that, I don't think we were too bad, but just generally those things crept into the game a little bit. I think exiting the back line is our biggest weakness right now. I think defensively that's our weakest part of the ground. And we don't seem to be able to get it out super easily. It started flowing later in the game, but, that's not going to happen week in, week out. Yeah, look, that's just something that I guess we'll need to build on a little bit. But we did settle a little bit in that last quarter, especially because Mackay sort of
Yeah.
got on top of Franklin. But you're right, in that first quarter, it was a real nervy start. But credit to us, we didn't keep it that way.
Yeah, and just some disposal, like some poor disposal still. But I think, look, it's age-wise and experience-wise for the team. There's times that I just think you need to make that handball, you need to make that kick. Even switching the play and kicking it out to the wing and just not getting it close enough to the guy to be able to have the advantage to run forward into an open space.
Yeah.
Look, they're little things to tighten up, and I guess there's nothing major as long as we can improve it. If it doesn't improve, that's a major flaw from a very simple footballing act. But yeah, I just think some of the disposal maybe was a little bit poor, but not as poor as the weeks gone by. Players out the back once again. We still do this thing, and not as much. I think the St Kilda game, we handled it very well. The Port game, actually, despite they still kicked so many goals, but we didn't let those players like Danaher got out the back all the time in the Brisbane game. And when we were at Good Friday, Harry Mackay or Kerno were about 15 metres clear in the forward line of their defenders who seemed to push up into the midfield. I think that crept into the game a little bit. There was 2 or 3 goals that were kicked like that still, just from trying to transition fast through the midfield, a turnover, bang, over our heads, and there's someone in 15 metres of space.
Yeah, I guess that just goes back to your first point, those turnovers. It's slingshot in a way. It's you live by the sword.
Do you think that's the game plan we're trying to play? Or what do you think is the purpose of pushing the defenders up off their players? Because that can't be a thing they're just doing. They've done it for weeks and weeks and weeks now. It has to be a coach instruction.
I think, look, I'm not a tactical expert by any stretch.
Could have fooled me, mate. Could have fooled me.
But I think we noticed it a little bit when we actually locked the ball inside our 50 in the second half a lot. They were booting it out under pressure, and we had Zeeble set up. We had Mackay pushed up a little bit.
Mackay got a couple of intercepts on the wing as well.
Yeah.
You know what? You are a tactical expert because you've just proven it to me why we do that and why we're trying to do that.
And the only thing that kills that is when we turn it over
so quickly.
Unforced error. So in 2 years' time, we hopefully, I guess this is the vision, is we have we're a lot calmer, a lot more confident, better ball use, and we see the over the back maybe once or twice a game. Because
instead of getting, and I think Zeeble was the one the furthest back, completely by himself in the back 50 or the back half of the ground. Sorry, when we were locking in sort of forward pocket half forward, and you can see the setup, and Mackay and Logue are sort of manning up on Buddy and whatnot and trying to intercept Mark. But Zeeble's that one that like floats in between those two, is completely free. So, yeah, that's a good point. I think, hopefully in the future, if we can hold the ball more, we'll retain possession on the wing instead of retaining it back in our back pocket.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, correct.
All right, next point here. I've lost my place. We have an issue with our key defenders. Now, I wrote this in the first quarter when I think they were both pretty poor. I really like Griffin Logue, but Griffin Logue wasn't working on Buddy at all.
No.
Then when they made the switch, I think it was really good. In an ideal world, if you just asked me a few weeks ago, I would much rather Mackay play on their key forward and Logue play on their key forward and Mackay float around the back line and intercept Mark.
Yep.
But for that particular matchup, that didn't work at all. And I thought Mackay was pretty poor in the first quarter, maybe first half as well. And that's a little bit worrying when I think Mackay and Logue are so talented or should be at least really solid. Am I sold on those two yet? No, but I should be. I don't know how you feel about that.
Yeah, look, Mackay, it's a tough one because...
As a duo though,
as a duo, yeah. Look,
yeah.
I'm just hoping it's one of those things where it takes some time for them to learn each other's game and they bounce off each other. I think the second half they played a lot better.
I agree.
But yeah, I think the whole time they've been playing together, Core's been in there too. So that was probably their first game where it was
Getting in the way.
I think it's the first game they've just played as a two sort of thing.
We're so much quicker when Core's not in. And it's not even just about Aiden Core. It's just like we're so much quicker when there's not a third tall lumbering around there.
Yeah.
Zeeble's basically a tall and a smaller guy's body. He's not going to be running it off half back. Miller Bergman's clean, but he's not quick.
No.
And then when Sheasel's down there, I mean, he's sort of that run off half back, but we don't always want Sheasel down there. Hopefully Goda can come in and play that sort of role.
Yeah, I was just going to say.
Has Goda got that potential to be great? Like maybe he does. He's very young and I hope he's really good. But I don't know. If we're gonna play three talls, we haven't transitioned off that back line well. I think.
I think, look, you said this a few weeks ago and I was last on the podcast. I think, the three tools, that's gone. I think it doesn't. We've seen enough now. There's been, 8 or 9 games probably where we've seen that. Hasn't worked well at all, I don't think. All we need now is, because Sheasel's got to be half forward, right? He's got to be that guy.
Look, I wouldn't be upset if they push him back in a game. I think in games where we could win, sort of mid-tier to low-tier teams, if we've got a shot, put him forward. But if we're going up against a Collingwood next week, and by quarter time where we're getting absolutely thumped, you put him back to get his hands on the footy.
Yeah, that's true. Well, that's the beauty of a player like that is you throw him forward and back and it works either way. But I think Goda's the one that needs to come in for Hall, play that Hall role eventually.
Does Lockie Young exist anymore?
I love Lockie Young.
I was very critical of Lockie Young last year, but I think back half of the year he played all right.
He did, yeah.
Why do you think he's not getting a game?
I think he's actually out with concussion at the moment. That's the first thing, but he's not that drive off halfback type of guy. He's more of a, I don't really know where he would fit in the back line. He could come in for core actually. That could be a good, as the third defender type player. Yeah,
because I don't think, and another point I haven't really got here as a negative, but maybe we talk about him a little bit, is Luke McDonald. And I don't see, we don't have a lockdown defender. I don't feel like Luke McDonald is very good at playing on a Charlie Cameron or someone like that to try and limit them. No. I think he's really hard at the ball. He's tough. He's a good intercept mark. And when he wants to kick it to a player, I think he's very good. But yesterday, every time he got the ball, I'm pretty sure he kicked it as a torp just to get it away from things. And that's an old habit that I don't want. Sometimes you have to get rid of it. And I absolutely understand that. But I'm not sure exactly. I don't think he should be dropped. He's important. He's too good to be dropped, right? And I don't think his performances have warranted a dropping. But more what I'm saying is, we've got a lot of players in our defence who can do multiple things okay, but aren't a master of anything.
Yeah, jack of all trades.
Master of none. That's what I was trying to say. Yeah, you got me. You can pick up what I'm putting down. But what do you think he's there to do? Zeeble and him play a similar role to me, where they'll float, they'll intercept, and they'll try and dispose of the ball. Except Zeeble kicks it to our players, and McDonald sends it up with a torp.
Yeah,
and then we've got 3 bigs back there, usually with Core, Logue and Mackay, and then one other guy in our defence. I know the midfielders push back and all that sort of stuff, but I just don't fully see where McDonald fits in. Maybe him going on a wing or something like that, or maybe even try him in the midfield. I don't know. I'm very lost on McDonald at the moment because I think he's incredibly neutral this season.
Yeah,
he's had a couple of standout games. Is this fair? Do you think?
No, I think you're right, because yesterday, going through the positive players list, he wasn't in my negatives for sure, and he wasn't in my positives either. He was just, like you said, very neutral.
Yeah.
So maybe a role switch up. But then our wings were so good yesterday that I don't know where you'd put him. But
no,
I think last year he was one of our best players.
Absolutely,
and he seemed like he was playing a similar role. So
do you have confidence he can lock down a good small forward? Because I don't.
He doesn't have the pace to follow, like you said, a Cameron or
the lateral quickness as well. I think he gets danced around very easy. It's not his fault. He is what he is. But he's very similar to other players we've got, and maybe the diversity isn't there. Is a Jackson Archer a guy in the future that can come and play on a lockdown? A guy like that. He's younger. He's a bit quicker. You can still develop him athletically. I don't know. I'm just throwing out things off the top of my head.
Yeah, to be honest, it's a tough one. He plays that third man floating across role really well, but in terms of
Zeeble does that too.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, so it's
not that you need one player to do one thing and then no one else does it. But yeah. Like I said, I'm not trying to be critical of McDonald. I'm not saying he's good. I'm not saying he's bad. I think he's maybe better than he is not good. He's a good player, and if not, he's better. He's probably like a 6, 7 out of 10 every week, but. Yeah, I think I'm maybe just a little bit lost on his role or what he's doing back there, because I feel like he should be the guy to stick on, a small forward like a Charlie Cameron or whoever, because I pick it or whatever his name is, and I don't know if I'd trust him doing that.
No, it's.
So what else does he bring? Maybe is the.
It's a good point, because I actually think he's a really good kick. well, like you said, when he wants
when
to be.
when he's got the time to kick. And I guess playing in that defence, you're always under pressure.
Yeah,
right?
that's the other thing, right? He's probably been so used to being under pressure all the time that he just hoofs it out of there. But
yeah,
I would like to see, I don't know, maybe a role change in some way, but what that is, I'm not sure.
But if it doesn't change, I'm not unhappy with it. Does that make sense?
Like, it's just a very neutral.
He's fine, but I'd like to see him impact the games a little bit more. But he's a hard nut, and he'll get stuck in.
Yeah.
Anyway, that wasn't even a point on here. Do we want to touch on umpiring? Do we want to talk about that even briefly? Like, I think I said yesterday, I know every fan thinks the umpires are against their team, and then 9 times out of 10 you go and look at the free kicks and it's 23-24. But there was nearly a 10 free kicks difference between the tallies.
Yeah.
I don't know, and it just felt we'd always get very soft free kicks paid against us. But it wasn't going back the other way, especially when we were getting momentum to kill our momentum.
Yeah, there was 2 big ones that I noticed that really annoyed me. So I think Paul Curtis marked the ball 10 metres out, used his body well, and free kick was given against. Yeah. The ball goes up. I don't know if this was the same play, but in my head it is. Ball goes up the other end. Liam Shields holding the ball for sure. Zeeble boots it out. They kick a goal from it. So it's a 12-point.
Yeah, swing.
The interchange one, no arguments. It's
on us.
It's on us, unfortunately. And I do feel bad for the interchange person because looking at the replay, 2 people have run off at the same time. And it's just one of those things, right? Yeah.
The other one I've got written down here is we got them. And was I wrong with this? You remember when Wardlaw got hit high or like they went in that contest and jumped up and and I was like, oh no, he's going to be out with concussion now. When the medical staff were running off the field, they got in the middle of the play, and I'm pretty sure we got the ball turned over for our staff interfering with the play.
Which we didn't really get in the way at all.
It was an uncontested mark on the wing, and we got the. Is that true?
It is true. So
it was because of the people.
We've got to be the first team in AFL history to have an interchange steward free kick and a medi staff. That like I think we made the comment that it's like giving a parking ticket to an ambulance, right? Like they're running off the field. They haven't impacted. I think it was Papley that he sucked about it, which is why he got the free kick. They wouldn't have given it if he didn't.
No.
And I think they might have even kicked a goal from that as well.
They did. And that's why I wrote this point down is because Wardlaw, gets crunched in the middle, gets a shoulder in the face, right? And there's no free kick there. But look, we want tough footy, so play on, right? And then we get the ball and it's an uncontested mark on the wing to us when our player nearly has to do a Paul Curtis fend off on the medical staff to mark the ball. But it didn't change the game at all. It wasn't like there was a Swans player anywhere near.
Yeah, it's one of those ones where it's like, to the letter of the law, maybe it's a free kick, but you need to read the room. I think it happened. It happened a few weeks ago with, I can't remember the game, but someone kicked it out of bounds because someone was getting carried off. I can't remember who it was, but it's just one of those things where to the letter of the law, maybe it's a free kick, but it just has to.
And I understand if that's a free kick and there's a Swans player even contesting the ball. Like I fully get it, but not in an uncontested mark when it was almost like our defenders were playing on him and there was 15 metres of space between the nearest player and the guy who marked it.
It's a strange situation where we're giving away Medi.
I will say the 2 people who were running off, the guy was rapid. He was getting off that field, but the lady who was running, there was no pace whatsoever. That's Peter Crouch levels of pace, on her FIFA card.
Yeah, look, it's just so stiff, isn't it? Like how?
And not to be. This is just funny. This is just banter, but. Have you ever see like those old video games where like the character will be running really fast, but they're clearly just like floating and it's not matching the pace of their legs? That's what the lady who was running off looked like. She looks like she was like morphing across the ground, but her legs were meant to be moving quicker than she was going.
The poor lady.
You could at least got a spoil in there, get a stat or something.
Shepherd Papley maybe.
Golden Fist of the week. Jeez, that's so strange. We would work, and maybe more first half again, but maybe in the third, we would work so hard to get our goals and then we would give up an easy one from a clearance.
Yeah, I did notice.
That happens a lot in a lot of games too.
It does. And I also noticed that a few of their goals were just, like they've got some classy players like Goulden, I think, kicked a really nice goal. Heaney kicked a really nice goal.
Warner, I think, as well.
They're just all really, really good players, right? That are probably 2 to 3 years ahead of our development. They're mid-20s. Those are the types of players that we'd love to have in our team. And Goulden's goal especially, like that was
absolutely.
Wardlaw was right on him and he's kicked it from 55 on the run. It's just
And
a
that
little
just-
bit classier than
That
us,
was
really.
the exact one where I wrote that point down too, where I feel like we worked so hard to get our goal and put ourselves back in front at the time, I think. And within 20 seconds, it was already.
Yeah.
It's almost like another sporting reference here, but it's almost like Richarlison's goal for Spurs to level against Liverpool. He celebrates like he's won the World Cup, shirts off, yellow card given, does a stupid pigeon celebration. Then from kickoff, Liverpool go and score 4-3 up and they win the game.
We love some Richarlison hate on the podcast.
We need to do an episode where we liken players to Premier League players.
Yeah.
Oh, fantastic. Yeah, I thought that was disappointing. We did it a few times though, not just that one instance, but I feel like we were on top, especially second and third quarter, and but we'd give them easy goals to sort of keep them in it.
Yeah.
And even executing late, and this is the last point before we talk about a couple of individuals, I felt like in the last 12 minutes we got nervous.
Yeah, we did. I think we also fatigued a lot.
Fatigue and nerves
Yeah.
as well. We started kicking a little bit more blindly.
Yeah,
like
we did.
we're going in, falling into old habits. And I understand, you know, the pressure's on the players, clearly care about it. And of course, they're young. They're not going to keep their heads like 150, 200 gamers going to. But just as a note, I think we did start kicking blindly again,
Yep.
which kept them in the game late because we had those opportunities with, I think, did Simpkin have another one or Sheasel's shot? We did have a couple of opportunities maybe to put it, which obviously would have been the winner in the end if it played out the same way.
Yeah. Yeah, but the other thing I think of too is in the Fremantle game, it was similar vibes to the ending of the Fremantle game.
They were right in the same pocket, weren't they?
We were holding on and like we were defending quite well, as in Logue and Mackay were defending really well. And it was another stoppage, 30 seconds to go. It almost plays out, in my mind, exactly like the Freo game had.
You're not wrong. Yeah.
It was the exact same vibes. Like we were holding on and
wasn't it?
we didn't make any stupid
No, we
free
didn't.
kicks. It was just, like you said, a
And
bit
then-
of fatigue, a bit of panic, but nothing too worrying, I don't think.
A couple of players maybe to point out who didn't have the best games. I'll just get your opinions on them. Blake Drury.
Yeah, look, I'm hoping I think he just needs a few weeks. It's just a confidence thing with him, I think.
And we'll point out, this is nothing to do with players aren't good enough.
No,
This
not
is
at all.
just that game as an isolated incident and their individual performance, which could change any week. But
Yeah, that's actually a positive in this, is that the players that didn't have great games yesterday, none of them I'm thinking, let's get rid of them. They're
no,
all that.
I don't think any of them impacted negatively. There was just no impact.
Yeah, that's so I think, look, off the top of my head, I think Drury had a quiet game, was a bit fumbly, probably just needs a few weeks in the VFL with a bit of confidence.
Doesn't look confident around the ball. That's what I was going to say next.
I think what he really needed was a goal, just to sort of, or just a really good play.
Where does he play? Like, is he a halfback or is he a forward pocket?
I think he's played both in the VFL.
Yeah, I
he
think
looked really good in the practice games.
Because he was
actually.
drafted as a running half back, but then they played him as a forward in the VFL. But I swear, when I watch the game, the last 3 games, and he's playing, I won't see him for 10 minutes. Then he'll pop up at half back, and then next time he pops up, he's gone to the pocket. But that'll go back and forward all game.
So that might be his issue. Then he's sort of stuck in the middle.
Aaron Hall, what do you think of Aaron Hall's game?
I think he was okay. I think he didn't really turn the ball over at all, from what I remember. He hit 18 of his 20 targets, but it's just one of those players where I'd love to see a Goda or
You'd rather a go,
Just look, I do like Aaron Hall. I think he's all right, but
what
he just
Aaron
has
Hall
no
should
defensive.
be is what we need in some aspects. Maybe defensively better, you're right, but we need that guy to be able to transition the ball cleanly off halfback, like a Sard or something like. And the thought of Aaron Hall and what he's meant to be is that player, but he's never got to that for me.
No, look, I think he was he was reasonable yesterday. He didn't really turn it over at all.
Maybe I would have liked more impact on the game.
Yeah, I think he had a lot of his disposals very deep in the 50, which we need at the same time. But yeah, you're right.
We do. And Phoenix Spicer.
Look, I want him to stay in the team for a few more weeks.
Even if Zerha is coming back?
I think so, yes. I think his pressure was decent enough. He had 6 or 7 tackles.
Yeah.
He was there buzzing around, which is what we need. I think the only thing the main thing missing is just hitting the scoreboard and having a bit more of an impact
around
offensively.
a contest.
Yeah. He is very, very
He's
small.
tiny. He's so small.
But he was at the feet of the forwards a lot. Look,
Yeah.
I think he's one of those players where we give him 3 or 4 weeks
Yeah.
and see how he goes. What have we got to lose?
Yeah.
Not a whole lot. He did enough, I think, from a pressure point of view to keep his spot, I think.
Yeah. Okay. So going from that then, I've written down a few changes I'd like to see next week. And I think this is getting close. Obviously, there's a few injuries, but basically would be what I think we can field as our best lineup now.
Mm-hmm.
So the changes I would be out would be Spicer, Hall, Drury, and Howe.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Howe played fine yesterday. Absolutely nothing wrong with it.
Yeah,
if
yeah.
not a decent game.
Yeah, he was decent, yeah.
But the reason, and I'm not dropping Howe because he wasn't good, but I don't think he's anything to do with the future here. So what I would do is I'd drop Howe and make Spicer the sub. Drury and Hall, bring someone else in who could impact more. Not dropping Hall because he's not good enough, but I want someone to impact more. And I think Drury needs to go back and get his confidence back up, and then he'll get another shot this year.
Yeah, absolutely.
Zerha comes back in. He's a walk-up starter every single week. I'd probably like to see Cunnington around it again. He dominated the clearances in the VFL on the weekend, so see how he goes after a couple of weeks off. Cooper Harvey, I think it's time to see Cooper Harvey kick 5.
Yeah, look, look, if we're going to drop Spicer to the sub, I'd love to see Harvey come in and play that forward pocket.
I think because you can sub Harvey and Spicer for each other in these games.
Yeah, exactly. It's like for like.
Yeah, maybe Harvey hasn't got the quickness and the agile sort of game as Spicer should hopefully get one day. But I mean, I don't care how agile you are, you got to kick it through the sticks.
Yeah, and 5 goals and 20 disposals in the VFL.
Yeah, absolutely. And then Hall out. Darcy Tucker can come back in. I don't think Darcy Tucker's done anything wrong. I think he offers a cool head. He's a solid player on that wing. I don't know. He'll hit a target. I got no issues with him. And I think looking at the two players, maybe Tucker and Howe are the two there that maybe are a little bit like for like. And if it's out of those two, I'd picking Tucker.
Yeah, same. Yeah.
Just to preface so no one gets mad, Howe is not going out because he was bad, just because there's other players I think would fit better than him.
Yeah.
Do you agree with all those? Is there anyone else you'd bring in, take out?
No, I think you've pretty much
Does
nailed
Aiden
it
Core
there.
come back in?
I don't think Aiden Core comes back in personally.
No, we know what I think of that, but yeah.
If he does, I'm not sure who we drop in that defence for him. And if someone does get dropped, it's harsh or...
Because I don't want to see Aaron Hall out of that defence dropped for a big.
No, it doesn't make sense, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so if you're bringing Core in, like you mentioned before, it's got to be because Mackay and Logue are injured.
Yeah, but they got through the game.
They did.
There's some big celebrations from an almost win. Yeah, that's about it for the game then. Disappointing that we didn't win, but we got to get Harley Reid. So if we lose all the rest of the games for the year but play like that, I think we'll feel okay.
Yeah, I can live with that.
But yeah. So what we might do now, I read all of the viewer questions on yesterday's podcast. So if you're listening to this one and didn't listen to the one I put out on Sunday morning, please go back and listen to all the fan questions and thoughts I read out. What we're going to do now is we're going to ask you some hot questions. So
exciting.
Yeah, fire up. Get ready. A week ago when Marnie was on the podcast, I sort of, it was a pretty depressing time for our club, all those losses and after the Port Adelaide game, and I was emotional. So I said, let's talk about everything negative. But I think they're all pretty valid questions, and we won't deep dive too much on these and get into logistics, but we'll just get your quick thoughts on a few hot North Melbourne topics. Thoughts on Clarkson taking a leave of absence?
Yeah, look, it's unfortunate, isn't it? There's been the process around what he's going through hasn't gone well. Clearly, it's been managed very poorly by Hawthorn and the like. So for him to take a few weeks off, sort of just step away from footy, I'm really happy that he's comfortable enough to make the decision, and it's not something he feels like he needs to stay at North and suffer while he does that. So and what the other part to that is having Ratton as an assistant to come straight in and take over. It's a really good sub. So yeah, take as much time as you need, Clarko.
We'll be here when you get back, mate.
We will be. So
it's not a goodbye. It's a see you later.
It is. That's right. And I hope he enjoyed the game yesterday too. I'm sure he would.
I'm sure he was watching. I like Ratton shut that down pretty quickly. If was Clarko watching, he's just like, mate, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So, do you think? How do I ask it? Do you think he's coming back? Right. So obviously, a lot of people. Once again, for everyone who doesn't know, I work in a barbershop and I have so many conversations about footy every single week. A lot of people are coming in and saying to me this week, "Oh, Clarko's not coming back. Your coach left." And I'm like, "He didn't. Well, he's stepping aside for a few weeks, but he's coming back, and that's all that's been reported." What do you think about that? Do you think he might not come back?
Look, it's hard to know without what's going on behind the scenes with all this Hawthorn stuff. But I think he will come back. He will. It's just a really bad time of the year with all this news. It's all coming up at once, and you've got journalists reporting about it non-stop.
Yeah.
You've got the negative performances. Everything's coming at once, and it's a bit much, which, like I said, I'm glad he is comfortable enough to step away from the club and leave someone like Ratton to run the show and steady the ship.
Yeah, I wouldn't feel as good, and no disrespect, but like to Patch Adams, if he was coming in again, I don't think I'd feel fantastic about it.
No.
But a guy with experience like Rats is good.
Yeah, so he can steady the ship while Clarko's gone. And look, if it takes 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 2 months, at least we know we've got someone that's comfortable in the position.
Taron Thomas, where do you think he's at, and do you think he should be available for selection next week?
Oh, it's a real tough one. We were talking about this before, and
because Ratton did say in the press conference he'll be available he's back in the AFL program as of next week, so we'll be able to be selected. And less of that, but like more, should he be selected?
Look, from a talent perspective, absolutely yes. He comes straight back in, no doubt about that. But when we're talking about the stuff he's sort of done and I guess the first warning and then the second warning, and he still was acting up a little bit. It's, in my mind, it's a last chance type stuff. If we see anything like that happening again, I don't know if he should come back in. But at the same time, I'm happy enough to give him another chance.
Yeah,
proving, I guess, so long as he's improved his
he's made changes,
actions, and
to be better.
And exactly.
And I think I talked to Marnie last week about this, and it was good getting her thoughts on that. But I think the fact that we've got a female president and CEO, I have more faith that the correct boxes have been ticked to get him able to be playing again.
Absolutely,
because I'm sure all their experiences in football, they would be taking it as seriously as anybody. So I don't know if he's getting ticked off by those guys to be able to play again. I have full faith that he's done the correct things, learnt, has moved on, and deserves another shot. Yeah,
you're right. Actually, I didn't think of it from that perspective, but I guess if we've ticked off on it internally, you just have to trust that the correct process has been followed. And he's a very, very good player, so we would love to have him back. So
that's the other thing with the fit, putting him on halfback would be fantastic.
Yeah, he comes in for Hall.
Sheasel, exactly, and putting Sheasel in that forward line like he was yesterday.
Yeah.
So, getting a semi. All right. Will Mackay leave?
No. I'm going to say no.
No.
I think...
Why?
I think it's just one of those things where I think he's gone through the bad times this is how I see it anyway. He's played with us for about 7 or 8 seasons now.
Yeah.
He's gone through the storm. Like, why miss out on the rainbow, right? You've got to...
As long as the rainbow's coming. And I guess that...
That's true.
I've seen it's rained a lot the last few weeks. I haven't seen a rainbow, mate.
That's true. That's true. But I just think, look, we should have the capability to pay him what he deserves.
Yes, correct.
What
does he deserve pay-wise?
Well, if Griffin, Logan, Core on 500...
That's not measured off Aiden. If we're going off Aiden Core's contract, he gets $2 million a year.
Well, you're right. I think, look, key position, 25, 26 years old, I think roughly.
They're hard to find.
The
hardest position, my opinion, hardest position to find in the league is an elite key defender.
Correct. And in the last 3 to 4 years, he would have probably been our most consistent player other than maybe Goldstein. So look, I think if he's our highest paid player, I wouldn't be too concerned.
No, neither would I.
But yeah, at the same time, we can't go crazy, right? You can't be
You got to
playing
think
millions.
about, we want to be bringing in good players in the future.
Yep.
Wardlaw, Sheasel, Zerha, all these guys are going to have to be paid one day. So, yeah, I'm sure they'll be able to figure all of that out. It's interesting because I feel weirdly okay about Mackay staying now, but it just depends if we win or lose every week.
Yeah, well, I think he's only won like 7 games for North ever, which is crazy to think. But
and obviously missing the first 2 games, and I actually was really upset that we didn't get the win yesterday, mainly for him. Honestly, like I thought he like his first half was a bit poor. He was very good in the second half, but I don't know. I want him to stay, but I honestly don't think he'll stay.
I hope so, because that's just that puts us in an awful situation where we've lost Mackay, we've got Logue and Core as our 2 big defenders, and then we've all of a sudden got to
I agree, but
chase another big fish.
The other thing I guess is like we'll get a pretty decent compensation pick for him if he goes. So I'm not saying that's better. Like I want to keep Mackay, like that would be number 1. But I don't know. My gut tells me he's going to go. And it's even times like yesterday where they played so well but still didn't get it over the line. I feel like that'd be eating away at you a little bit. I think having a brother in a team that's not looking too good right now, but is meant to be up there and is playing in big games, I think that influences him. And I know you've talked about the podcast that they do together, but there's a couple of times where there's been North suck banter on there. And I don't know. It's just 2 brothers going at each other, but I get the feeling it gets to him.
It would. Like, imagine having a twin brother that's playing in front of 90K a week. I guess what does help is Carlton are also not great. If Carlton were... If he was playing for a Collingwood right now, you would hate that as a twin brother, and probably fuel you more. But at the same time, it depends, I guess, how he's looking at it. He could be like, he could see the players we're getting and go, hey, imagine how bad it would be if I left for a Carlton, say, and North overtake Carlton.
Yeah, 100%. Or an Essendon. Essendon's another one that's been rumoured a lot for Mackay.
Essendon, I think, has been rumoured with any good North player that we've ever had.
It does seem to be that way.
The only one they've got is Brad Scott off us, so really got to...
Hey, Nathan Grimer.
Nathan Grimer, true throwback.
There's a throwback. All right. Simpkin and McDonald captaincy. What do you think of that?
Oh, look, Simpkin, no-brainer. I think he's captain material. I think we touched on that just earlier.
Yep.
McDonald, I think, may be a little bit overwhelmed, but the decision to make him captain, I at the time I said absolutely, like not a...
Yeah.
I like the 2.
You like the 2?
Yeah.
So I don't like the 2.
I like the 2 just because it puts the spotlight too firmly on one single person I
think that's better for fans though. Like, so I talked about it with Marnie on the last podcast again, but after that Port performance, when Simpkin came out in front of the media and addressed David King's, vision that he showed about the poor efforts and everything, I was really happy that Simpkin stood up and showed some leadership there. I don't, and this is just my gut, but I don't think I would have cared very much if Luke McDonald did that.
Yeah, that's true. I think, Simpkin is the more captainy of the 2, if that makes sense. Yeah. If that's a word, probably not.
No, it's a word now.
I think he's really thrived actually on the captaincy, which is great to see.
And that performance yesterday shows with adversity, everything is against the club right now. That's what leaders do. And I just don't think Luke McDonald has that. It just sits uncomfortably with me. We've got 2 captains. Like, I want a captain. That's the guy you go to. Luke McDonald being in the leadership group absolutely should be.
Yep.
Absolutely should be, blue and white through and through for him, and they're the guys we need around the club, and I love him for that. But Simpkin screams leader to me, and McDonald maybe not so much. If they're different kinds of leaders and the player group has voted on that, then I'll back them in and trust it. But just from an individual perspective for me, like Darcy Moore's the captain of Collingwood. Simpkin's the captain of North Melbourne, and that's what I want it to be.
Yeah, you want that face. I guess I think Sydney actually did the co-captains for quite a while.
There's a few co-captains now, isn't there? Is like Brisbane or someone? I can't remember. There's another team that's got co-captains.
It's possible. So I was really happy when it came out. I'm still, I guess, not too concerned about it. But at the same time, you're right. I do like it. Is good to have that face.
Yeah.
But at the same time, Well, I guess before giving Simpson the captaincy, you didn't really know how he'd take it. So it's good.
There's always been rumours about Simpkin being the captain, though. I
Yeah.
guess. And I think he's the right age profile. Like I loved Andrew Swallow as a captain.
Yes. Yeah.
And you've got 10 years of this guy just leading the club and hard of the ball, does the things you need to do as a captain. I think like the captain playing in defence, I think is challenging as well because maybe they're not always around the ball.
Yeah, can't exactly impact the
But I think the defenders get criticised more than any other position in the league as well.
Yep.
And I think that leaves it open to questioning the captaincy. And maybe that's what's getting in my head a little bit as well. I don't know. I'm not completely down on McDonald as a captain, but I definitely see it more as Simpkins the captain and McDonald backs him up.
Yeah, I guess that's just naturally what's happened so far, right? It's pretty clear. So I guess we'll wait and see how that goes.
A couple more. What position do we need the most? In the off-season, mid-season drafts 2 weeks away. What position do we need to fill the most in our team?
I'd love a small sort of pressure forward because we've got Spicer. We had our man Kane Turner come in a few times, but you look at other teams and they've got a Charlie Cameron and a Cozzy Pickett.
Yeah, those are the two that I always model off and be like a Lindsay Thomas type.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
A small forward like that can...
Doesn't need to be kicking 3 or 4 goals a game. Just needs to be laying 2 or 3 tackles a game in the 50 that gets their defenders a bit nervous, which we saw yesterday happened quite a lot, which was great to see. But yeah, someone like that, or even just someone that is going to come in and they're going to have 2 or 3 shots at goal per game. And
I think this is actually a good discussion point. Like mid-season draft wise, for me, I'd be going after a small forward like that or a small lockdown defender.
Yep.
They're the two. I think long term, if Mackay leaves, our number one need is a key defender.
Absolutely.
I did say a few weeks ago, if Mackay stays, our number one need is a key forward. But I think now with Coleman Jones, I don't know if I agree with that. A ruckman for me as well is someone I would really look at. Even someone who's like a mature age ruckman who you know is going to come and be solid. And it means it doesn't limit Jerry's time because Jerry's still young and has got talent. But we need someone who can be solid in there when next year if Goldie is Goldie going to play on? Like we don't know. So
yeah, if he leaves, we definitely need to look at a mature age ruckman that can come in and pinch hit and just not set the world on fire. Just
the guy I said that did I say this to you guys when we did the first podcast? But I'd love Radigalia.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I would love Radigalia. Like I know he's playing in defence for the Cats now, but he looks. And I haven't watched heaps of Cats games, but the couple of glimpses I've seen of him, he seems very rash in defence.
Yeah, he's had a really good season actually.
Yeah, okay. So I would love a guy like that in the ruck. Just an athletic guy is always going to chase. I just for some reason think he'd fit perfectly.
Yeah, just
in
like
our
a bit of a
ruck spot.
presence.
Yeah, I'd love a guy like that. Too late to bring Majak Dor back?
Oh, I love Majak.
I love Majak too. I love Majak. And what is a successful season from here? So I asked Marnie that question and we both agreed 5 wins. We got a lot of backlash in the YouTube comments saying don't put wins on it. And I disagree with that. But what do you think?
I understand where the people are coming from because yesterday for me was a tick.
Yes.
You've almost got to look at it in a tick way, maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
But you're right. We can't be going 2-20 again.
No, because I think it shows and it gets into players' heads though.
Exactly.
So if Mackay at the end of the year goes, well, we lost 5 games by under a goal, so we could have been 7 and something, or we could have been 6 and something.
He's not going to care about that, right?
He's going to see
2.
2 and 21 and be like, we haven't improved at all. And that's all the media we're going to have to cop. That's going to go into players wanting to come here as well.
Yep.
I think you do need a number on a bit of paper.
Absolutely. I think 5 is a good number. It definitely just can't be a 2, right?
I don't think it could be 2 or 3. I think minimum 4 wins.
I think if we go 5 and then I think the one thing that would be really good is if we can pull off a scalp of some kind. Like if we beat a Collingwood.
Richmond's coming up.
Oh, that's not a scalp. We beat them every year.
Yeah, you're totally right. Pencil that one in.
If we can win a big game against a Collingwood, actually Richmond probably does count still. Actually, a Richmond, an Essendon, a Carlton, one of those
Bombers. Yeah,
one of those. Well, we never beat the Bombers though, unfortunately. Just one of those big teams that sort of people go, oh, hang on, there is a future here. Because, we don't want to finish the season 3 and 20 and we've beaten Hawthorn or something
on
like
West
that.
Coast. No, I agree. I understand where people are coming from saying don't put a number on it, but I just think you need some physical thing to look at to say, look, here is the improvement on paper to sell to other people coming to the club. You don't have to sell it to people within the club.
Absolutely.
But except for maybe a Ben Mackay who is out of contract. But yeah, I think you do need something physical on paper.
Yeah, I think the other indication as well is if we go 4 or 5 wins, it's the percentage as well. So I think last year we finished the season with 55%. If we can get the percentage to above 70%, there's also the metric there of we've won 3 extra games, our percentage has gone up by 15. You add that to the following year, we've won 8 games, our percentage is 85, and all of a sudden, it's looking really good. So
I agree.
There's that as well. Which
it's a numbers-driven industry a lot of the time as well. And,
it's
that's what, and journalism and all that sort of stuff has an effect. Like, imagine you're an out-of-contract player, like a fringe player for the D's or something like that, and all the media surrounding North Melbourne is, they've got 65% for the year, won 3 games. You're going to be sitting at home going, even if Brett Ratton or Clarko picks up the phone and say, hey, mate, this is what we're doing. Look how we nearly won a lot of games next year. They're going to be like, but you didn't win it.
Yeah.
And that can be the difference to convince someone to come on to be part of our next finals run or whatever.
Yeah, that's right. So, if we can get... Well, actually, I found this out the other day. So, Paul Roo's first season at Melbourne was 4-18. And 3 or 4 years later, they've got not a dynasty, but they've got a solid grand final challenging team.
Your finals more years than not.
So, look, 4 you can live with.
Yeah.
5 would be great.
6 would be great.
6 would be like above
awesome.
Expectations.
Yeah, I
Absolutely.
agree. Yeah. All right. Sean Atlee Club Champ votes this week. I'm still not decided, and so we're going to have to figure out the 3-2-1 votes for the Sean Atlee Club Champ.
This is it's great to have such a dilemma, right?
Yes, and none of them are old, which is good. So sorry, Jack, you're not getting in this week, even though he arguably could have got votes too.
Yeah, he was solid yet again.
The guys I've got here, the 5, I'm going to give you 5 names, and we're going to rank them 3-2-1 votes, and 2, guys who are going to miss out, but we're going to give them credit anyway.
Yep.
Bailey Scott, Harry Sheasel, Callum Coleman-Jones, George Wardlaw, and Jai Simpkin.
That's exactly the 6 players or 5 or 6 players I had in mind as well.
Yeah, okay. Did you have another one?
I had Ford as well as the 6th. He was the 6th best. Yeah,
I could see Ford as the 6th. I think Zeeble was maybe better than Ford.
Yeah,
though,
you could.
But
you could
I
argue,
know what you mean.
Yep.
Eddie Ford was brilliant, so shout out Eddie Ford. Okay, here's my thinking. On paper, Bailey Scott is 3 votes.
Yep.
But in my heart, Callum Coleman-Jones is 3 votes.
Oh, you've gone Coleman-Jones.
Now, I haven't gone anything yet.
Oh.
This is where I need you. So who would you put as best on ground? Yeah, and the Sean Atlee Club Champ isn't about stats per se. It's about your heart and how your heart feels.
Yep.
This is the purity of the Sean Atlee Club Champ. Who in your heart got 3 votes yesterday?
Well, when I watching the game, after the game, I thought Bailey Scott was our best player yesterday.
Okay.
He didn't. If you think about, he faded. No, he
didn't fade.
First quarter, second quarter, third quarter, fourth quarter, he was equally as good in each. His ball use was excellent. He kicked a big goal at a big stage. And I guess maybe I'm a little bit biased as well, but
no, I'm a Bailey Scott lover.
And like you as well, we've always sort of thought he's been good, and he does get a little bit of hate a little bit, so maybe that pushes me, but I actually think he was our best player yesterday and he should get the 3.
I would be his top 2 for me, so I'll give him the 3 votes.
Yep.
I think that's fair. I think it gets trickier now.
It does.
So Sheasel, on paper, I think Scott 3, Sheasel 2, CCJ 1. Right? That's what I would think. But Simpkins, the energy he brought to the game, I think is the reason why we stayed in that game.
Yeah,
and 2 goals, 28 touches?
Yeah,
I think something like that.
Crazy game.
That's a captain's performance. And Wardlaw on debut, only 16 touches, but the impact he made and 9 tackles. I don't know. I feel like he deserves a vote, but
we might have to go to a 6-5-4-3-2-1 system.
We're giving out 5 votes. Who do you think's number 2? 2 votes.
My heart in the game, watching the game, Simpkin. Only
Simpkin.
Because the reason for that is in the first quarter, he was clearly the best player for us.
Okay.
He did fade a little bit in the last, but I thought when the game could have got away from us, he was the one that single-handedly kept us in it.
Yeah, Simpkin and Sheasel are the one I'm debating between. So how close do you think Sheasel is?
If Sheasel doesn't hit the post and kicks his third,
Okay.
he takes it.
You've sold me.
Yeah, but
You've sold me. It doesn't feel good, but you've sold me.
It hurts because it's such a fine margin, and he was obviously brilliant. But
yeah. All right.
I think Simpkin
if Simpkin didn't have that first quarter, we don't play that well for the rest of the game.
Yeah, exactly. So I think impact-wise, I think Simpkin. Oh, geez, but Sheasel had such good. It's a tough one.
Didn't he?
It's a tough one.
All right, Simpkin gets 2. 1 vote. Sheasel, CCJ, and Wardlaw.
Oh,
Now,
God.
my head's saying Sheasel.
I think Sheasel too, yeah. But I know your heart says CCJ.
It does. My heart says CCJ, but I'm in love with Wardlaw, and I messaged him straight after the first day. So,
it's a tough one. I say Sheasel. I can't see a player kicking 2, having 25, not being in your top 3 best, if that makes sense. But from an impact perspective, CCJ took so many marks, played really well. I have to lock in Sheasel. But if you want to do CCJ, I know you want to, so I'm happy to take that.
I've never been so conflicted about any decision I've had to make in my entire life.
It is a tough one.
I agree, Sheasel.
It does hurt knowing not having
I don't
CCJ.
feel good about this at all. I've never felt worse about anything in my entire life. You're right. It's got to be Sheasel. 25 touches, 2 goals.
And look, in another world, he doesn't hit the post, he kicks 3, it goes to possibly best on ground, right?
Yeah.
So that's where I'm thinking it's got to be.
You're right.
Sheasel.
You're right. Shout out to Callum Coleman-Jones and George Wardlaw, though.
Yeah,
I think
they were
very
both excellent.
Stiff, not to get the votes there, but yeah. Well, look, it puts Sheasel. Sheasel's going to jump up to 14 votes. Our next best is Larky on 8. What's Simpkin sitting on right now? Simpkin's barely got any votes this year, which is interesting. I think Simpkin would have. That's Simpkin's first votes. And Bailey Scott, he's already got 1, so Bailey Scott will go to 4. But Sheasel's nearly double our number 2 in the Sean Atley Club champ.
Yeah,
is that good or bad for our club?
I think good. It's got to be positive.
You've got to
right?
take it positive.
It's got to be positive. It's a first-year player playing that well. 2 goals, 25 disposals in your first 10 games. That's
no, you're
excellent.
totally right. Oh, sorry, Callum. Oh, just a live update here. I was going to look at the round in review, and we'll just go over a couple of games and predict the next ones. But Hawthorn is currently 32 points up in the second quarter over West Coast.
Wow. That
the Harley Reid Cup is live, guys.
That makes me feel a little bit better. I don't know if that makes me feel better or worse.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I want someone to win by 1 point so we don't drop anymore and someone gets percentage.
That's true.
It's in the West too. Anyway, let's review the games that are completed and then we'll go to the current game and the next 2 to play. We're recording this at 2 p.m. on Sunday afternoon right now. So in context, whenever you guys listen to this, that's when we are. So we've got the Scummy Dogs versus the Melbourne Demons. Old Scum Adelaide up by 4 points. I hate what they're doing right now. Look, agree or disagree, last week's game with all the Horn Francis hype and the Zerha dump, I'm sort of done with Horn Francis now. I think it got out a lot of emotion. It's like just a classic blokes at a pub. You've got a beef, you go outside, have a bit of a scrap, and then you're best mates afterwards, and you get that frustration out. I feel like that's how I feel after the Port Adelaide game. Do you feel the same?
Yeah, look, I don't really think, this is just from my perspective, I don't really care so much about Horn Francis. Like, you're right though.
I definitely did up until that game though.
During the game, yeah. You're right. It was a little bit of steam let out of it. I don't really care so much anymore. It's like he's playing reasonably well, but I think what makes it a lot easier to swallow is we've got Wardlaw and Sheasel. If we had picked up 2 complete duds that were in and out of the team, I'd be flat out.
Yeah, I'd be flying Adelaide to bomb his house. No, I wouldn't do that. But yeah, what do you think about Port Adelaide getting up by 4?
It hurts. It hurts.
It does hurt, doesn't it?
It was a bad start to my tipping, but look, Butters was very, very good. I have to say.
I didn't get to watch this game. I was out on Friday night, so
I watched a little bit of it, not too much, because I
Yeah.
just can't stand
everyone
Port
on
Adelaide.
Saturday is coming up to me and telling me how good of a game it was. So
Yeah, I didn't
felt
see
bad.
the ending actually, but yeah, look, Butters 2 goals, 41 disposals. That's pretty.
Yeah.
That's more than I had in my entire junior footy life. So that's quite impressive. They're playing really well.
You could have
can't
made
deny
it if you didn't get the injury, though, right?
Yeah, the chronic hamstrings. Yeah.
yeah.
But look, as much as I dislike Port Adelaide, they're playing pretty well, but I don't know whether they'll be a contender. But
Yeah. We want them to drop as low as possible to make our pick as best as possible.
oh, that's true.
That's
I forgot
basically
about that.
it. We get their pick this year.
Oh, I forgot about that.
Western Bulldogs and Adelaide. An interesting one. Was this in Adelaide? I think it was. Like,
It was in Ballarat.
oh, it was too. Ballarat. Okay.
So the poor people that Adelaide supporters that went out to Ballarat to watch that must have been
thinking they were a premiership chance.
straight to Sovereign Hill after the game.
yeah. I was going to try and say the name they called her because I didn't do that for the first ones. What do they call Freeman? Wally Yallop? Is that what they tried to call them?
It could be.
I wish I knew. Anyway, Freo and the Cats. Are the Cats back or the Cats not back? What's going on? The Cats are either back or not back.
It's a strange season for them so far. Look, they're 5-5. It's a weird one. I think they're still coming top 4. I think they're still good enough to win the
You
flag
reckon top
again.
4? Where are they? Hang on, let me look at the ladder here. Well, they're 7th right now. I don't know. I think maybe they could get to 5th. I still think the D's are better than them.
Oh yeah, I think Port, 8 and 2.
Collingwood, Brisbane and Melbourne are the top 4 currently.
I think Port drop out of that top 4. I don't know if that's just me wanting them to. And I think either Bulldogs or Geelong go into the top 4 from there.
The Bulldogs, yeah, they started the season so poor.
They just
You're not
they
on
just
the,
have
you're on the
so
Saints
many.
bandwagon?
Not at all. No. Well, actually, looking at, I didn't realise this, but last year, Saints were in this exact same position.
Yes.
I just don't think they have
it.
No, look, they might sneak into 8th or 7th, maybe.
Well, 9th is reserved for Richmond's late run, so that'll be good.
That's true.
Brisbane and the Gold Coast. I mean, Brisbane's just sort of getting the job done. The Gold Coast were up early in this one, though.
Yeah, I think Brisbane have always fathered Gold Coast since they've come into the AFL. So
Yeah, that's true.
looks like they piled on a lot of junk time goals late.
You
but
do look like the kind of guy who's going to be tuning into the Q Clash every week. You know,
it's my favourite derby.
name a bigger game.
I can't. I simply
I
can't.
simply can't in world sport. Matt Rowell is very good though.
He is. I love Matt Rowell. He is weird. But
Do you reckon, if we fed LDU grass, do you reckon his hamstring would be stronger?
Maybe that's the missing piece in the puzzle.
Did you see the Brisbane Lions getting the pre-game meal ready for them, and some guy on the TikTok
He's cutting the grass.
Cutting the grass.
That's good. Shout out to Brisbane's TikTok. That's
fantastic. So currently, Hawthorn 50 to West Coast 18. How do you think this game's panning out?
good. Well, if you asked me before the game had started, I would say, look, a goal to either team. I couldn't really pick it. Probably Hawthorn are a little bit better than West Coast at the moment, and I think West Coast have. I don't know if they've packed it in, but when I watch their games, they're just a bit like
they're on the beach, aren't they?
there's no like
they don't want to be
positives. I don't think
No.
really, which is kind of okay because since we've been alive, at least West Coast have been pretty good
there. Very
every season. So
consistently good, yeah.
it's about time they have a little bit of downtime.
Yeah. Go to the retirement home. Carlton Collingwood, big game. I tried to go to this game today, and you can't buy tickets for it.
No, it's going to be a really, really good game. No, it's always a good game. Like,
Blues under pressure. Pies rolling at the moment.
it's got a Collingwood win by under a goal written all over it, I think. But
A late comeback. The Blues think they're getting the chocolates just like last year.
it would be good. And you know what kills me to say this, but I really like watching Collingwood play, which hurts to say.
I agree.
But they play a really great style. And strangely, their team, the club as a whole, I still don't like, obviously, because that's how we're wired.
They've got a lot of flogs in that team. And I'm not saying they're flogs as people, but they look like guys.
Yeah,
that if they were at a bar, I'd be like, I'm heading out to the
I'm out of
smokers. Yeah.
I like the team as a whole, actually, which is it hurts to say, but I like watching them play.
No, I agree. You can. It's a safe space here at the Further North podcast. Yeah.
I don't like Carlton though, at all.
I don't mind Carlton. I'd rather Carlton than the Pies.
No, I'd rather the Pies, and I just can't. There's something about Carlton. I don't know what it is, but yeah, just
Do you think it'd be fair if we're at the Collingwood North Melbourne game next week and every time Dacos gets the ball, we start seeing you're just a shit Harry Sheasel? Do you think we can do that?
it sounds harsh considering he's averaging 40 disposals a game.
Yes,
but
it's not about realistic world things, mate. It's just about banter.
we know that very well at North Close to a Flag, that's for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the content you guys need.
Absolutely, I think that's on.
All right. You heard it there first. If anyone's at the game, everyone do that. And the last game, a blockbuster at, what's GS? Oh, it's just called Giant Stadium now.
I wonder how long they took to think of that name.
When did the Gold Coast Stadium become not Metricon Stadium?
That's the first I've ever heard of it, to be honest.
Yeah. Anyway, who wins this one? Saints, Giants, at Giants.
Now, I've picked, the last time I came on here and you asked me for tips, I got all 4 wrong from that. And I
Sounds
saw
like something you'd do.
I saw a few comments after just sledging me for that.
Yeah. Well,
But-
one of them was me writing in the comments.
Probably. I think Giants win this game just because it's
Okay.
got a real St Kilda downfall about how they've sort of performed a lot. Like even against us,
Yeah.
that was the most awful game I think I've ever seen.
It was.
They weren't great.
No, they were not.
I don't think they're in any form at all.
No. What
Although
was their-
Giants aren't great either, so it's a tough
Well,
one.
Giants won last week, didn't they? No, they just sorry, that was the week before against the Swans. Well, the Saints got belted last week by 52 for the Crows, and the Giants lost to Collingwood, but Collingwood beats everybody right now. So, all right, back in the Giants win. Toby Green with 5.
I love Toby Green too.
Is their number 1 pick playing for the Giants?
Cadman?
Is he playing?
He's played a few, but he hasn't really set the world on fire, I don't think, at this stage, which makes us feel a bit better because we did trade that pick.
Yeah, true. Yeah, okay. Well, look, that's basically all the games, and I think that's basically all for the podcast as well. Yeah, still a bit conflicted about the loss yesterday, but yeah, more positives than negatives, so I'm not going to dwell on it too much.
No, look, it's overall happy vibes, and let's just hope that we can bring it the next few weeks and hopefully knock someone over.
Yeah, true. There's a Bay 29 Instagram page now. Do you want to talk about that at all?
Yeah. So we've decided to sort of set up our own page for Bay 29 just so it's easier for access for people finding tickets and sort of what we're up to. So yeah, give Bay 29 a follow on Instagram and Facebook. I can't remember the handle actually.
I was going to say, you keep plugging it and I'm going to find the handle here for you.
Yeah, but if you go to North Melbourne Close to a Flag on Facebook and Instagram, there'll be links to Bay 29 and we'll have the Bay set up for the Bulldogs game, the Bulldogs game, and there's also another game later in the season we're still trying to work out. But
okay.
Yeah, unfortunately we couldn't make it yesterday, which was a real shame. But
yeah.
But
well, that'll be good when we go to the Dogs game finally and they get done by 150.
Yeah.
No, we'll be fine. The handle is Bay29_NMCTAF.
That really doesn't roll off the tongue well. We might have to work on that.
No, get better. I'll read it again fluently this time. Bay29_NMCTAF. North Melbourne Close to a Flag. So
yeah, that's the one.
Follow that for all of the Bay 29 news. The Carlton game was the last one I was able to get to there, and that was a bunch of fun. There's always Kangas. Admin 3 is always up and about in the Bay. You're going to see if you talk to him before the game, he's quite a shy, not shy, but like a placid, quiet man. And then you'll see the inner demon come out of him.
The animal is, I credit to him because I don't think I could chant in front of that many people myself, but he loves it. And yeah, if anyone could bring some Strepsils next time, we always seem to forget a Strepsil.
Do you reckon we can talk to North and get a Strepsils sponsor for the Bay 29, the Strepsil Bay?
I'll see what we can do.
You know people that know people. Well, thank you for listening again, guys. North Melbourne Close to a Flag on Facebook to follow all the fun and the banter there. My Instagram, North Melbourne. What's mine? Further North Pod on Instagram and Further North Podcast on Facebook.
We're really good with the plugs.
Yeah. Just pretend I did all the. Look what's just popped up in my feed here on Instagram is the Buddy Franklin Harry Sheasel photo. Geez, they love showing that on the game, didn't they? They showed it so much.
They plugged it heaps.
Anyway, you know what? Screw it. I'm going to share this photo out. What's the caption I should put sharing out that photo?
Oh, you put me on the spot here.
Yeah.
I'm usually one to take a while to think of captions, but
I'll just say take me back.
Simpler times.
Take me back. There we go. I don't know how you guys will take that, but if you see it, don't hate me. thank you for listening again. Thank you, Admin 2, for joining me.
Thanks for having me.
And I should be able to hopefully get a preview podcast out for our big win against the Pies. Should we talk about the time? When is that game? Is it Saturday?
It screams Sunday afternoon to me. Let's have a look. Yeah, Sunday afternoon, Marvel Stadium.
3:20, which is at least it's not 4:40. You can't put the Pies at 4:40 though, can you?
No, you can't. I'm surprised it's at Marvel Stadium, but anyway.
Yeah, very true. No, we don't play at the MCG, mate.
Nah, never.
You give it 5 years, we'll play 2 games a year there. The one random every year and then the grand final. So
Yeah, exactly right.
we'll be fine. All right, preview podcasts hopefully be out. We'll get more guests on and all this sort of stuff. Thank you for listening. If you leave 5-star reviews on Apple, I will read your reviews out. And if you leave, you can review on Spotify now and give 5 stars and things like that. I'll read all your comments out. So thank you for listening again. Go Roos. Any parting gifts, any wisdom, knowledge you want to share?
No, just a simple go room. I think that's all we can say.
We are massive. See you next time, guys. Have a good one. Thanks for listening to the Further North podcast. We'll be back next week with more great North chat. See you then, Roos fans.